Good morning. My name is Julie. I am the owner and founder of Lady Faltai. You are either watching this video on my YouTube channel or my Facebook group, which are both called Lady Faltai's Light Healing. This is kind of take two. I did this yesterday and the video did not, I don't know what happened to it. It's gone. It didn't, somewhere it didn't go live, somewhere I couldn't find it. It was just gone when I ended it. So I don't really know. It was probably user error, but I figured, well, there was just something that I must have missed, and I have to go back and do the video again. So the universe was telling me to do take two. So today we're going to be talking about crafting for anxiety. I know there's a lot of people out there right now that are experiencing a lot of anxiety around this virus. And before we start crafting, I do want to just talk for a few minutes. I promise we will craft. But I want to talk a few minutes about anxiety and some of the things that you can do to help yourself. Now, I have videos about anxiety. I have videos about meditation. I have videos about taking baths and all of that stuff. So those are all things you can go back and watch, but I did want to mention them if you're new or sorry, the dump truck is out front and it's making a ton of noise. If you're new, I just wanted to go over some of those things. So meditation is always a really good one for dealing with any emotion. Same with yoga is really good. It's going to help keep you calm and relaxed. Salt baths are a really good way to do that. There's a couple of visualizations out there that there are videos for. If you don't watch mine, Google them, search on YouTube. There's lots of really good ones out there. I've got some super easy ones that, you can do right in your workspace. Nobody will really even know what you're doing. You can just do them real quick. They're, some of them only take a couple of minutes to do that will help you. So there's a lot of techniques out there, and obviously we're going to talk about working with herbs, and we're going to talk about working with oils today. The other thing is you can work with crystals. I am wearing my lepidolite right now, which is very calming. So you can work with stones. I'm not going to get into talking about the stones today, but if you have any questions about a stone or want to know what stone to use, certainly you can just comment or private message me, whichever you feel comfortable with. And, sometimes people just comment and say, I have, 6 stones and this is what they are, and can any of them work for, this? And, I can say, yes, this will be the best one to work out of those, or, you can use that one, but if you we're going to buy one, this is, maybe the one I would recommend for you. So whatever your dynamic is, it's fine. I will help you the best I can. If you can't buy anything, which is a thing right now because a lot of people are really struggling. They don't know about jobs. They don't know about income. And so that can be, again, stressful for people. So if I completely understand if you don't want to buy anything, but we can certainly talk about something that might work for you. Maybe you message me and say, I've tried meditating. It just doesn't really work for me. So we can try maybe some other things that might help you with anxiety or any emotion. But today we're, talking about anxiety. So did want to just take a second and mention that obviously we know that hand sanitizer is gone. You can't find it anywhere. There are lots of recipes out there for making your own hand sanitizer, which is like 2/3 cup of alcohol to 1/3 of a cup of aloe vera, and then whatever you want for essential oils. I just want to mention that you really should be using 90% or higher alcohol. The recipes don't, most of them don't say that, but to really be in a good alcohol content that is going to be actually disinfectant, you should be using 90% or higher rubbing alcohol. If you find alcohol, let me know because I can't find it anywhere. Pretty much all the stores here are out of rubbing alcohol, as well as the hand sanitizer. So I could probably order some on Amazon, but I did make a bunch, and so I have a few that will last me a little while. But anyway, just wanted to mention that because I'm seeing a lot of people posting that recipe, sharing that recipe, and I've noticed that they don't say use 90% or higher alcohol. So that's really what you need to make it actually a hand sanitizer. All right. The other thing is, I just wanted to mention real quick too that I am working with my tea. So I actually started using this tea about 2 or 3 weeks before the coronavirus really was known. I know the coronavirus actually started back in December and stuff, but we didn't really know about it then. But I've been drinking, it's called Colt's Foot, COLTSFOOT, Colt's Foot, and it promotes lung health. So, I drink a cup of this every day, and it's going to help keep your lungs nice and strong. So, just wanted to mention that. Try to see if I can show you. The camera doesn't like to pick up little things very well, but it's just a very loose tea. And then I buy the bags. If I can show you without making a mess. I just buy the bags. I think I got 300 bags for $10. I don't even know if it was $10. It was under $10. I got 300 tea bags. So that ought to last me a little bit. But yeah, so if you're interested, Colt's Foot tea is good for keeping your lungs. It's not antibacterial or anything as far as I know. But it is really good to help keep your lungs nice and strong. The other one you can use is Linden, Linden, and you can again buy that on Amazon. The Linden, I could only find it in bags. The Colt's Foot, I did find loose. I prefer it loose, and I can make it myself. Because a lot of times in my tea bag, I'll put 2 or 3 different things. I might put some Colt's Foot, I might put some chai, whatever else I have around, I might put in there to make my tea. So that's why I prefer it loose. But if the tea bags, I have them at work because then they're just easy to use at work, and I don't have to do all that while I'm at work. So it's fine both ways. But yeah, Colt's Foot tea and Linden tea are really good. Now, I've heard, I'm just going to mention this, but I'm not a doctor. I don't have any history in research or medical fields. There's a lot of people out there that are saying if you drink really cold water and lots of water, you can't get sick. And then there's other people out there who are saying if you drink very, very hot water, you can't get sick. And I honestly don't know if either one of those are true. I have been following the CDC pretty closely, and I have not seen that mentioned anywhere in the CDC, or I've been watching the Department of Health here in New Hampshire, and nowhere have I seen that. So just be a little bit cautious of what you're reading and where the sources are coming from. I'm not saying either one is true or untrue. I'm just be cautious where you're reading things from. Because when I read something like that, I try to go find another source. I try to find, because these are in memes and things, and so I try to find another source. Is it the CDC say anything about that? Does the Department of Health say anything about that? I try to go back and see, and I can't find where either one of those websites say anything about hot or cold water killing the virus. So just be aware. All right, a few more minutes of talking, and then we're going to get into crafting. So one of the things I wanted to talk about with anxiety, and again, you can apply this to any emotion. I am typically not somebody who is an anxious person. I don't experience a lot of anxiety. So I apply this technique in my anger. I'm a double fire. My Chiron wound is in my 12th house when it was retrograde. Yeah. So I have a lot of anger that I know where it comes from. I understand it, but I don't really know where it comes from. I know that doesn't really make sense, but I understand why I have it, and I know it's my chart placements and things like that. But it just comes up so quickly sometimes for me. And so the technique that I use is, I'm going to go back a little bit. Somewhere along our line, and I say that a lot in these videos, somewhere along our line, our country, our world, I don't know. I'm going to say our country because I don't think that the Western side of the planet is quite like ours. Their traditions and things are very different. So I'm going to say our country. We have been taught that feelings are bad. If you're anxious, people just tell you it'll be fine. If you're sad or crying, people tell you to stop crying. People tell you to suck it up, get over it. If you're angry, people tell you to calm down. We've just been taught our whole lives that we don't show our emotions. So we have become a world of, when somebody says, "How are you?" we just say fine. And we don't really talk about our feelings, and we don't really express our feelings, and we don't, maybe you're lucky that you have somebody that you can talk about your feelings with, and so that's a really good resource, if you have somebody that you can go and talk to about it. But as a rule, somewhere along the line, we were told that, our feelings were basically bad. Maybe not in those words, but over time, like I said, if you were crying as a kid, your parents told you to stop crying. If you got angry or you were fighting with a sibling or whatever, they told you to calm down. So it was always, just whatever your feeling was, it wasn't validated in any way. And so now as adults, like I said, we just kind of go on with our day and everything is fine. We don't talk about our feelings. We don't talk about being anxious. We don't talk about being mad. We don't talk about being sad. We feel like we're going to bother other people by talking about our feelings, or that other people aren't going to understand, or other people aren't going to care. Whatever it is, we're just told basically from childhood that whatever it was, you just put a lid on it and forgot about it. I'm here today to tell you I don't think that's true. We have emotions for a reason. Everything we have, everything we do is for a reason. So we have emotions for a reason. Fear is here to protect us, but it's not here to cripple us either. So, it's there for you to make sure you're safe. We have this package that we're in that is fragile. It gets sick, it gets hurt, it gets broken, and we have to protect it. And part of that protection is that we have fear. So we are afraid of falling down. We are afraid of getting hurt. But at the same time, we can't let that fear control us so that we don't ever leave the house because we're afraid all the time. So it's a balance in there. And so, like I said, we have all these feelings we have for a reason. You can't have happiness and joy without, some sadness and some anger going along there, because you wouldn't be able to understand the difference or realize the scope of it if you didn't have the both sides. So anyhow, back to the little technique that I use is I give myself, this is for my anger. So again, yourself, I say again because I did this yesterday, but this is the first time you guys are seeing it. You guys know yourselves better than anybody else, or you should anyway. And you know how long like it would realistically take you. So for my anger, when I feel that anger coming up and I feel it, I can feel kind of my blood pressure coming up. I can feel myself tense up a little bit. Even my face, kind of my cheeks get a little red when I'm getting angry. And I can feel that all starting. And instead of trying to push it down or tell myself to not be angry, because I find what happens when I do that is I actually stay angry longer. So I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be angry. I'm not going to be angry. And then 20, 30, 40 minutes later, even, half a day later, somebody might come and say, oh, what happened this morning? And that anger instantly comes right back because I didn't process it. I didn't work through it. I put a lid on it and forgot about it. And so as soon as somebody took that lid off, it came right back out again. So what I do is I give myself 10 minutes to be angry. Just let myself be angry. And, I kind of try to think about what it is that's making me angry. Usually it's the same thing. It's not a real big secret here that my boss pushes my buttons big time. And I think she does it on purpose. But anyway, that's, we won't get into that. Oops, sorry, got fuzzy there. So when I get angry or when I feel myself getting angry, I just give myself 10 minutes and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to be pissed off for the next 10 minutes. And I just let myself be mad. And whatever that looks like, if it's sadness or anxiety or whatever it is, maybe 10 minutes isn't enough. Maybe you need to give yourself 20 minutes. Try not to take too long. If you're spending 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes having to process through it, then I think that's a little too long. Now I'm talking about things that kind of come up in our daily lives. I'm not talking about like the death of a loved one and processing through your sadness in 10 minutes. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about when that little bit of anxiety comes up for you during the day. Maybe you're watching the news and you can feel yourself getting very like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Or you're having a conversation with somebody at work, you're in the grocery store, these kind of things. When this anxiety is coming up for you, like I said, I'm not talking about, like processing a death of a loved one in 10 minutes. That's a whole different category of things like that. Loss of a relationship, a loss of a family member. Those things are very, very different than what we're talking about today. These are just those emotions that just start to creep in and start to take over a little bit. And, what we can do to work through them and process them and not push them down or put a cover on them, put a lid on them. So I find when I do this, when I allow myself to be angry for that 10 minutes or so, I find that I'm not even actually angry the whole 10 minutes. I usually am off doing something else, back doing work, back doing something, having a conversation with a coworker. Like the 10 minutes, I usually don't even end up staying mad the full 10 minutes. But by just allowing myself that time, instead of, like I said, putting a cover on it, a lid on it, and forgetting about it. And then when somebody comes along and asks you that question, like, oh, what happened this morning? I heard you guys had an argument. And that lid comes off and all that anger comes out like those snake things out of the can. So by allowing myself to process through it and just allowing myself that time. So again, if you're feeling anxious, you're watching the news. One of the things I've done with the news is I have actually stopped checking the news. What I did is I put one app on my phone for the news, and I set it to tell me alerts. So when something new happens, and I did it for New Hampshire, but they'll cover other things as well. But I did it for New Hampshire because that's where I am. And so when something happens, I get an alert and I check it. And then I'm not checking it all day. I'm not scrolling through it. I'm not watching the news, because we all know the news repeats. Like, you get 20 minutes of news and then it starts right over and they give you all the same news again. So we don't want to hear that over and over and over again. That's going to increase your anxiety. But you have to be informed. So that is one of the things that I did for myself is I stopped watching the news and just put an app on the phone that gives me an alert. Something's happening, ding. Okay, I'm going to go check it. I scroll through and get the information I need and close it. That helps me not be so anxious about what's going on. But again, if you're feeling that anxiousness coming up, again, you know yourself, whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, if you need to take that long, just go process it. Now, you can do some of these techniques while you're processing it. You could meditate while you're doing it. You could do yoga while you're processing. So you could kind of, build on that and find what works best for you. I find what works best for me is just to just sit and be quiet and kind of center myself and try to talk to myself a little bit. I'm like, why are you mad? What could we have done different? Maybe what could we have said different and things like that. But sometimes even with that, I'm mad. It was her fault and and she did it and I want to be mad about it. And like I said, just letting myself be mad, usually I can work through that in less than the 10 minutes. And I've been trying the same technique with anxiety. When, everybody was talking about losing jobs, a lot of people were very anxious. Now, when people are out hoarding food and it makes it very hard for other people to go get food, that made me very anxious. I was very anxious about going to the grocery store. Excuse me. After I went and got groceries, obviously that anxiety level came down. But again, just kind of letting myself be anxious. But in that processing time, again, for me, what works is I ask myself questions. I'm like, okay, what are you really anxious about? What has really got you upset? Okay, it's the groceries. All right, we're going to go tomorrow. We're going to get groceries. We're going to just maybe not get everything on our list, but we're going to get as much as we can, and that's, and I just kind of like process through that being anxious. Almost like if you were kind of talking to a little kid is how I process. So like I'm the mom and the kid at the same time. And I kind of talk to myself how a mom would talk to a little kid. Like, it's okay. I mean, we obviously sometimes sugarcoat things for kids, and I don't sugarcoat things for myself. If there's an actual issue, I'm dealing with the issue. But I kind of have that side of me that's just like, I'm mad. And then that other side that's kind of like, it's fine. It'll be okay. You can be mad for right now, but we'll be okay after. So anyway, now that I've rambled on for a half an hour, we will get into our crafting. So the first things that I want to go over are our herbs. So I have 3 herbs here that I picked. I did put a list up on the group of, on the event of items that you might want to have. If you don't have these items, again, don't freak out. This isn't to make you more anxious. If you don't have these, most of these you can buy on Amazon or Etsy. You can buy at local stores. I know a lot of the local stores right now are closed. But I think if we reached out to some of our local stores and said, listen, I need some mullein leaf. Do you have any? And they said yes. And you said, well, could I come pick it up maybe? or could you mail it to me? I'll give you a couple extra bucks if you mail it to me. Somebody got some stuff from me the other day, and she taped the money to her door, and I put it in a bag with a handle, and I hung the bag on her door, and I took off the envelope, and and so you know, we can kind of work around some of these ways of actually not you know, being too close to each other. But again, if you don't have these, don't freak out. Again, you can message me, comment, whatever works for you, and say, this is what I do have. Can I use this instead? And things like that. And we can go through those things. So again, this is not to make you more anxious. These are things that most people don't normally have in their cupboard. These are not, like, a lot of times we work with, you know, thyme or oregano, basil, things that bay leaves, cinnamon. Those things are a lot of things that people would have in their cupboard, but these are not quite so common. And you can't really buy these in a spice. A lot of my herbs, if it comes in a spice form, like, you know, in the can that, or the little plastic bottle that you buy at the spices, I buy as much stuff as I can in the spices. But sometimes you just have to, you know, actually go to a shop or order them because they're not quite so common. But I'm gonna get my charcoal disc going here. So if anybody hasn't worked with charcoal, they come in a package of 10. I buy them in a box of 10, so I get 100 for like $10. They're not super expensive, but I do buy a whole box because I go through them quite quickly. And you're just gonna light them, and you'll know it's lit. You can kind of see that spark and that hiss. Here. So that's how you know it's lit. So just while that gets going here, I'm going to smudge real quick, actually. Just a little bit. This sage bundle, I think, is pretty much on its last little bit here. There it goes. Just a little bit for you guys, some for me. Smudging is really, really important. I think smudging is important anytime, but right now, again, that's going to help you clear your energies. So again, especially I think right now when you get home from work, if you're still working, you know, that's like one of the first things we should do when we come through the door is smudge and get rid of all the energies from the day that we've picked up that we don't want to carry in the house. My husband comes home sometimes grumpy from work, and I threaten to smudge him. So that's my, like, listen, whatever it was, you know, again, we do it at home. I guess I never really thought about it, but we do it at home. That technique, like when we get home and we're making dinner, we both will have that little bit of a time where we process our day. And it's usually the time we make dinner, so 30 minutes or so. We process our day, whether it's a coworker or a boss or somebody who cut us off in traffic or whatever it is. And then by the time we sit down for dinner, it's like, okay, now we can sit down for dinner. So I never really thought about it, but we do that at home here. So I'm going to light some Palo Santos here real quick. And Palo Santos is a wood from Mexico. It smells amazing. And it is really good for cleansing. And it's antibacterial. So it's not necessarily going to help with this virus because this virus is not airborne, but it is antibacterial. And just you can see it doesn't really burn. Like as soon as it catches on fire, it goes out and then smokes. I've had this piece a year and a half maybe or so. And let me see. I just got a new piece. It's a little thinner, but usually they come about the same length. So you can see in a year and a half, like not a lot of it has burned. They'll last a really long time. And they're like really inexpensive. I do have a couple on hand if anybody wants them. I think I've got them for like $3 or something. I don't know. And I think it smells amazing. If you're someone, I want to just quick mention this. If you're someone who can't burn something, like if you're in an apartment building and you can't like have candles or incense or anything like that, you can get this and put it right in your bathtub, or in the tub while you're taking a shower, and the heat from the water will release the oils and the smell for you as well. So I love the smell of it. I think it smells amazing. It naturally smells like that. It's not, you can buy them soaked in oil, but I think they just smell amazing just the way they are. But anyhow, so I got my mortar and pestle here. I'll read you quickly the what the herbs are for, and then we'll go into some ways you can use it. So the first one I have here is mullein leaf, and it is good for warding off evil, and it, sorry, I can't read the back while I'm open. Wards off evil, it aids in sleep, and it helps to calm your nerves. So, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little scoop in my mortar and pestle, which is right here. I'm going to put just a little scoop in there, but I'm also going to just take a little scoop, just a very teeny tiny bit, you don't need much, and I'm going to put that right on my charcoal disc. Then we have mugwort, which also aids in sleep, calms nerves. It's good for visions. It's good for divination. It's good for menopause. It's good for depression and anxiety. So mugwort, right there. That's a good one to have. Pretty much covers all your stuff right there. I have such a hard time opening these. Right, so again, I'm going to put a little bit in my mortar and pestle, and then I'm going to just, well, that's a lot. I don't need that much. Just a teeny, teeny bit on the spoon, and that's going to go on my charcoal disc. So the herbs are burning on that charcoal disc. You can't see it. I don't know if I can get some of the smoke over here, but see the smoke? It smells amazing. My grandson, when he comes over, that's like one of the first things he says when he comes to the house is, he's like, your house always smells so good. So again, a little bit in the mortar and pestle. And I'm just trying to get a little bit here. Just a teeny tiny little bit to go right on the charcoal. Typically for myself, I don't mix up big batches of anything because I use all these herbs in so many different ways. I don't want to use them all up and just make a batch. I could take all 3 of these and have dumped them right into my mortar here and ground them up together and made an incense. But I use just a little bit. And if I use it all, then I can make some more. But the things with your herbs and your oils is you can use them in so many different ways. You can, we're going to make a little blend, an incense blend here. But basically what I did is I just took a scoop of each of these and put them right on my charcoal disc. And that's typically what I do. So when I come home, depending on what my purpose is, what my intention is, what I'm trying to do, I pick from my herbs and just put a little bit on the charcoal disc and make it as I go. But today I put them all in there, and I put very small amounts. And then I'm just gonna kind of crush them up. I'm not gonna grind them real fine. You can grind them really, really fine if you want to. One of the things, if you grind it down, it takes a while, but if you grind it down to like a powder form, one of the good things you could do is you could actually rub that right on your skin. The powder, you can rub it right into your skin. You can grind it down to a powder and then put it with a little bit of cream and use it that way. You can put this in your bathtub. Honestly, what I would do is I would just do the same thing. I would just open this up, take a little bit out, and put it right in the bathtub. I don't have a bathtub, at least not one big enough to actually take a tub in. So I don't have that option. But if I did, that's what I would do. I would just actually open up these and just a little sprinkle in the tub. But you can make bath salts with this. You could mix it with a little bit of Epsom salt and coconut oil and make a body scrub. There's so many things you could do with it. You could make this a tea. You could put this in a tea bag and make a tea right now if you wanted to. So the possibilities are really, I don't want to say endless, but pretty darn close. You can really use these however you want. You could put these in a little pouch and put them under your pillow if you wanted. You could carry them with you. Some people have the little necklaces that have like a little pocket in it. You could do that. There's just so many things you could do with it. I am all about the smell for me. That's what really resonates with me. So that's why I use my charcoal disc a lot. I have a lot of incense sticks, more than a normal person should probably ever have. But my husband and I both love incense. So what I did is I just kind of ground that up a little bit. Like I said, not really fine, but just enough to kind of mix it in together. I think the dog's dreaming. Just enough to mix them together. And then, like I said, I make small quantities of things because I use my herbs and oils in so many different ways. But I got these little ones at the dollar store. Literally, you get 8 for $1. And then I can just scoop this little mixture in here. And you can write on the bottle, or you can get stickers and, write on the bottle for what it is if you want. I try to remember to do that because I make so many things that I forget what I've actually made. I'm just scooping it out and putting it in here, in this little container. And so now I have a little, if I'm getting anxious, now I have this little blend all done. I can just throw that on a charcoal and be all good. I don't have to take the time to find the herbs. But again, I make small quantities. If you're making this, you can certainly, make a big jar. You could, make a jar this size if you want, and instead of this size, and use it that way. Again, there's really no right or wrong way how you use your herbs and your oils. One of the things I did want to show you is like this one is pretty ground down. It's pretty powdery, but it has frankincense in it. So frankincense is kind of powdery anyway, but you can really grind it down if you want to take the time. To me, it doesn't burn any different if I'm using it on a charcoal, which is 99% of the time what I do. This would be good though if I wanted to put just a teeny bit of that in my hand, and then maybe a little drop of jojoba oil or coconut butter or something like that, and rub it into my skin. But both of these could go right in the bathtub. Both of these can go on your charcoal burner. So both of these could go in a tea bag. The other thing sometimes I do is sprinkle this on a lit candle. So if you got a jar candle and it's lit and the top is all melted, sometimes I'll sprinkle a little bit of the herbs in the top of the candle. Is another way you can use it. The other thing you can do is, I have some oils here we're going to talk about in a second, but you could have mixed the oils with the herbs, which is what I've done here. I don't know if you can really see it, but you can tell like they're wet. You can see the jar is kind of, you know, here. You can see it's all stuck to the side because that has oil in it. So this was one where I took the herbs and the oils and mixed them together. But again, I can just put that right on my charcoal now and use it. And it smells amazing. That's one way you can use it. So you can put the oils and the herbs together. One of the other things I said was you could have honey if you wanted. This is not a honey that we're going to eat. So I have a cheaper honey that I have for mixing stuff that I'm not going to eat. When we did our crafting our sex honey, that's something we're going to eat. So I went with a more expensive, just because I wanted it to be a better quality, organic honey. And so when it's for eating, I like the better honey. But if you're just going to be crafting with it, like making a honey jar or doing the incense, you can use a little bit of a cheaper honey. So with the honey, what you could do was with your herbs in your little mortar and pestle still, you could have put a few drops of honey in it. And you'll know, so start with a few drops, because it really depends on how much of the herbs you have in there, how fine they are, you know, but you could put a couple of drops of honey, and then it's going to get messy. And you kind of mold them. And if they're not sticking together, then you need to just put a little teeny bit more of the honey. Again, I have done this, and I'll show you. So these are ones that I have ground them down and then added the honey, and I didn't get real picky. And I've made little stupid camera. There. I've made little chunks. You could form them into cones. You could form them into balls, whatever you really want. This is not an incense, though, like an incense cone that you can light and it's going to smoke and walk off. This still needs to go on the charcoal disc. That smells good. But again, this is good. This took a lot more work, and it's going to burn the same way, really. So for me, I'm a little bit more about the easy, but I love to learn the different ways of doing things. And, you know, like I said, you take the herbs that were already in there. If I had left my 3 herbs in there and put just a drop or 2 of honey in there, and you take them out, and like I said, you kind of squish. If they're not staying together, if they're crumbling apart, you need to put maybe just another drop or 2 of the honey until you can form it and it stays. And then I just let them sit out a couple of days to dry. So it was a neat learning process, but really, in my opinion, it's going to burn just the same as this one on the charcoal disc, and this one took like no time at all. So for me, that's kind of my thing, is quick and easy and to the point. But I do tell you, these do smell amazing. So these you could put in your bathtub, but it might get sticky when they get wet, because there's the honey in there. The honey is pretty dry. So maybe not, but this I would not put this in a tea. I would not put this in my bath. Pretty much the purpose would be to be putting this on a charcoal, where this one, I could put it on the charcoal, I could put it in tea, I could put it in a bath, I could put it in a body scrub, you know, I could put it in a bath salt. Again, it's pretty endless what I could do with it from here versus here, which was more work, and now the only thing I can use it on is a charcoal. But those are some of your options that you can do. So we're going to just put this back real quick, and we've got just about 10 minutes left to talk about the oils. Put all my stuff back here. My little spoon, I don't really know what it was made for. It was probably made for like dips or jellies or jams or something like that, but it's just a really good size spoon. So that's what I use for my herbs and oils. So I have 3 oils I picked. I'm number 3. I love things in threes. So we got 3 herbs. We're going to have 3 oils. I don't know. A lot of times I do it and I don't even realize I've done it. I pick 3s. I picked 3 oils, one for anxiety. These are the ones I make, and the prices are up in the group if anybody's interested. This is anxiety. It's in a roller ball. If I can get the cover off, let's show you. It's in a roller ball. So you just roll those right on. So I have lots of different ones, but the 3 I picked for you would be anxiety right now. You can't really see that label. Anxiety. I picked one for sleep because, again, if you're anxious and stuff, you might be having a hard time sleeping. And grounding. So those are the 3 that I would be working with right now. So again, because I'm wearing my lepidolite for my calming right now. So the 3 oils that I picked are bergamot, cypress. Not doing a very good job. I would not make a very good Vanna White. Cypress and lemon. So I've got my book here, Essential Oils. So I'm going to go through real quick what they are for, and then we will mix. So your lemon, my desk's a mess. Lemon. And so what is lemon good for? So the number 1 thing listed for lemon is it relieves anxiety. It also aids in focus. Some of the other things is it's also a good aphrodisiac. It supports the immune system. It fights colds and flus. It soothes aches and pains, and it can also soothe indigestion and relief of menstrual cramps. I picked it today for the number 1 that relieves anxiety. So but when you're using this, it's not like, okay, well, I'm using it for anxiety. It's still going to do all those other things too. So it's going to help with anxiety, but it's going to do all those other things that it's listed in here for as well. So, it's really like a multi-purpose oil. And when you mix them together, you're getting all of those things together. So by using just lemon, you're going to relieve anxiety, aid focus, act as an aphrodisiac, support your immune, fight cold and flus, soothe aches and pains, and soothe digestion and relieves menstrual cramps. But I picked it for the number 1, which was relieves anxiety. Then I picked bergamot, which is like one of my favorites, which is really weird because I'm all about the earth smells. I like the smell of the tobacco, the patchouli, vetiver, I'm going blank right now. Sandalwood, cedar, pine, all of those are the smells that I typically like. So for me to really like bergamot is kind of weird, but it's one of my favorites. Bergamot is good for, it soothes your skin. It enhances well-being. That's what I picked it for. I'll go back and read that a little bit more, but it helps cool fevers and it acts as an antiseptic. So the enhancing well-being, the little thing that is written here is it is actually an antidepressant is the number 1 thing it's there for. So again, it's going to be mood balancing. So it doesn't specifically say anxiety, but it's the mood balancing, and is why I picked it and because I love the smell of it. All right, and then the other one that I picked is Cypress. So this is more of the, like what I was talking about, what I normally like, the tree smells, the earthy smells. And Cypress improves circulation, it tones the skin, it aids in detox, acts as a deodorant, supports women's health, soothes aches and pains, heals wounds, and calms nerves. So again, that's one of the reasons I picked this one, is the calms nerves. And I typically like to work with these more earthy tones, smells. So it eases stress and anxiety, relieves tension. So that is what the herbs, the oils are for. So for me, I always keep all my bottles. And again, I make small amounts. If you could see my workstation, like I make, stupid camera, I'll never get used to it, it's backwards. Like these are things I've made in classes and in different rituals. And again, I make really small amounts. First of all, because I don't want to use all my oils in just one mix. I like to use them in lots of different things. The other thing is, if I made big bottles of all of these, I would never live long enough to use them all. So I make very small ones, and I've had these probably a couple of months, and you can see they're empty a little bit. But I have so many different ones that I use all the time. Like this one is still practically full, and that one is almost still full. So I like to make small amounts. And you guys have heard me say that a million times already today. But I always save my bottles when something is empty. I want a little bit bigger bottle because I want to be able to show you. That's a small bottle. Should have had a bottle ready, sorry. That's a small bottle. Oh, there's a bottle here. It still has a label on it, but we can fix that real quick. Peel this label off. So when I am mixing, I'll try to talk while I'm doing this, or I can actually do this later, but when I am mixing my oils, I mix them by the strongest one first. The one that's going to be the most potent, I guess, one that's going to pick up the tone of the smell the most, which in this case it's the lemon. So I'm going to start by putting in about 10 drops of lemon in my mix. We're running out of time here, but we'll be okay. So I'm going to put like 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As you can see, there's not much in there. 10. And then I'm going to put about 20 of the Cypress. The Cypress is, again, that earthy tree kind of smell. And I don't, as much as I love it, I don't know if I really want to just walk around smelling like a cypress tree. But again, it's going to mix with that lemon. So I'm going to put about 15 or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. All right, I got 16 in there. I always cap my oils right after I use them because I have spilled them when I'm working with them, and nothing makes you madder than spilling a whole bottle of oil. All right, so that has a really nice blend right now. It you can pick up the lemon and you can pick up the cypress, but neither one of them is overpowering the blend. So what I like to do is just like 3 little turns. You don't need to like violently shake it or like, go crazy with it. Just three little shakes. Yeah, that smells really good. Then I'm going to take my bergamot, which is my favorite, so I'm going to use a little bit more of that. This does not have a dropper top on it, so I'm going to use my little dropper. God, I couldn't think of the word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there's some oil in it, that's okay. Going to squeeze the top before I put it in. Because if you put it in and then squeeze the top, of course, that's my time's up. If you put it in and then squeeze the top, it's going to like blow air into your oil and it could splash out and make a mess. So I always squeeze the top. Sorry, this I reuse my stuff. So I'm going to squeeze the top and I'm going to go ahead and put it in the bottle and get my oil. And then I'm going to pretty much put the whole thing in there. I'm not even going to count it. Like, I'm not about, you know, I'm horrible. I'm not about following recipes and stuff. It's kind of like, this is what I like. This is how I'm going to make it, which makes it really difficult when somebody says, oh, I really like that. What is it? And I'm like, I don't know. It was whatever I felt like putting in it, and I don't know how much I put in it, but this is what I made. Yeah, that smells really nice. So one of the key things that I think is important is when we're making a medicinal blend. So this blend we're making is for anxiety. It's going to help us with our anxiety. But you want it to be something that you want to wear. Nobody wants to walk around, you know, smelling like a medicine cabinet. You know, that's like one of the first things I think of is Bengay. You know, somebody puts Bengay on, you know that smell from anywhere. And so, you know, it's like you don't really want to walk around smelling like a medicine cabinet. So it's really important to me, I think, if you can make your medicinal blends something that actually smells good as well. And so, like I said, I love bergamot. So I forgot to cap it. So bergamot is something, you know, that I picked because I love the smell of it. And again, I picked the cypress because I like more of those earthy tree kind of smells. If that's not your thing, that's perfectly fine. Again, reach out to me. You can say, you know, I really, really like the flower smells, or I like more of a clean smell, whatever it is. And I can certainly, you know, help you figure out what are the good oils to use for that. These are not the only oils to use for anxiety. There are lots and lots and lots of oils out there to use for anxiety. So again, if you don't like this particular mixture, blend, you can certainly contact me and we can figure out something else for you to use. All right, so I think it smells amazing right now. It's going to really take about 24 hours to really know exactly what your blend is going to smell like. So I'm going to take a dropper full of jojoba oil and I'm going to go ahead and put it in there. I like to use jojoba oil because it is the closest to our own natural skin. So it's not going to give you a greasy feeling. You know, coconut oil is great for your skin, but it can be a little greasy feeling. You know, there's lots of other oils out there. There's grapeseed oil, there's avocado oil, there's almond oil. I mean, the list goes on. I could be here forever talking about just carrier oils. But generally, I stick with jojoba oil because it is the least greasiest to use. So I've put the jojoba oil in. And as you can see, I've left quite a bit of space at the top. So the reason that I have done that is because, like I said, you're not really going to know the true smell till tomorrow. And so I'm going to let it set till tomorrow. And then tomorrow I will come back and smell this. And maybe tomorrow, I don't know what it'll smell like tomorrow, but maybe tomorrow I'm going to come back and I'm going to pick up too much of that lemon. And as much as I love the smell of lemon, I don't want to walk around smelling like Pledge. So if it's picking up too much of that lemon, I might add a couple more drops of the cypress, or a couple more drops of the bergamot, or a couple more drops of both, and kind of play with it. And that's why I try to leave a little bit of space at the top. And then once I've added that, then I can go ahead and fill the rest of it with the jojoba oil after I have made any adjustments that I want to make. I could come back tomorrow and think it smells amazing just the way it is and just finish off with the jojoba. So again, it's really, you can just play with it and make it really your own and make it how you want it to smell. So, I put the wrong cap on it. Oh goodness. All right, this is the bergamot cap. Nope, I got too many things going on here. Too many bottles. This cap goes on this bottle. I try to label my caps because when I'm looking for oils, it's much easier if they're labeled on the top. I can find them much easier. But then it doesn't work well if you put the wrong caps on the wrong bottles. All right. So I'm going to just cap this up, let it sit till tomorrow, come back, check it, and either make my adjustments or finish off adding the jojoba to it. So there you go, an anxiety blend that smells good. Smells good to me. Like I said, maybe yours is going to be a little bit different. But again, if you're not interested in the lemon or bergamot or the cypress, or you're not interested in any of them, just reach out to me and we can go over some other oils that you might be able to use for that. All right, so that's pretty much time for today. I do have to still go to my muggle job, even though we're at a stay-at-home order. My job has deemed itself essential. But anywho, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, hearts, comments, shares, all of those would be appreciated. And feedback is always welcome as well. If you'd like to see something different. Normally, if we're doing a big craft, I put the camera down and so you can see my workspace, but this was pretty easy to put it in the bowl and mix it and stuff, so I didn't really do that today. But normally when we're doing a craft, I do put the camera down so that you can actually see what I'm doing. So, all right, I think that's it. Be safe, stay well. Try not to get too anxious, but if you do get anxious, again, give yourself that 10-minute time to process through it and, just allow yourself to feel that for a little bit, but make sure you're going to be able to come back from it after. And if you're having the trouble coming back from after, this is where you're going to want to use your herbs, where you're going to want to use your oils, crystals, yoga, meditate. Music is a really good way to do it too. So you can do all of those things. And remember, try not to be anxious about things you can't control. We can't control what other people are doing. I can't control that my boss is making me still come to work. I can't control those things. Things I can control is my own behavior. I can wash my hands. I can use my hand sanitizer. I can keep my distance from people as much as possible. When I go to the grocery store, I try to make sure I have everything that I need so I don't have to go back multiple times. I'm trying to just go to the grocery store once a week, and that's it. I wore rubber gloves when I pumped gas and then threw them in the garbage can at the gas station before I got back in my car. There's things we can control. And so we need to be informed, we need to be safe, but we don't need to overload ourselves with news and anxiety on what is going on in the world. So, and again, if you're having trouble, just reach out to me and I'll help you, whether it's just having a conversation with you, finding some music that might help you, finding a yoga, meditation, guided meditation, whatever it is. Everybody's a little different. We're not going to all process things the same way, but I hope today I've given you a few little tips that might help you. Have an awesome weekend, and if you ever are crafting, I would love to see your photos of your crafts. It makes me very happy when I see other people out there crafting as well. And remember, be kind. We really need some kindness right now in the world, more than ever. Kindness is going to change your day. It's going to change somebody else's day, and potentially it could change somebody else's life. So have an awesome day and love you guys. Bye.